sorry, whoever that was, I'm sorry. Hey, Greg, that game sort of, did it have like a playoff feel to it, or was it just a game that was just officiated a little bit differently than the games have this season?
I think it had a playoff feel to it because I think there's a team on the other side that they had to win the game. They have to make up some goal differential. There's a lot riding on it from them, and they certainly put a lot into it. And for us, trying to win the West, trying to finish the season at home unbeaten, there's a lot of things on the line for us. And I think, look, strategically, obviously for them, when Ricky was able to slip away, they were certainly taking plenty of shots at him, and so I think that also builds a little bit of emotion through the course of the game. Mark gets a piece of their guy in a transition play, and then I think it just kind of kicked off from there. And as the game got nearer and the result was where it was, then they took what I thought was a vicious shot at Ricky, and one that's extremely dangerous. I think ultimately from the officiating standpoint, I was saying to the fourth, like there needed to be a standard set much earlier in terms of the types of fouls and the quantity of fouls I think that were on Ricky, and started to kind of set a standard and a point here that this game wasn't going to get like that, but it certainly did.
And then you look at composure moments. We know you had Novak run off the field
Sure,
there,
for sure.
and then but things sort of get heightened when you expect something like that might happen. What's your discussion to the guys as you guys go forward here?
Yeah, there's again moments where we can get upset and we can get emotional. We can't go on the field. We can't do things that put us in jeopardy for suspensions, things like that. But you can be upset. It was a horrific tackle right in front of our bench, so certainly guys are going to react. There was other moments, where their players were talking to the guys on our bench too. So it's just things where we've got to be able to control ourselves in the situation as well. All of us, me included, everybody, just because there's a lot on the other side of this that we need to continue to be mindful of and play for. So I don't think our group came into this game expecting something like that. So maybe it's something that we needed to go through to learn from it. And I loved the fact that we were gritty enough to get it done.
Greg, do you think Delgado's foul on, I think it was on O'Brien, that one contributed to that as well?
Yeah, it was a foul in transition from behind. I don't think it's a foul that's going to hurt anybody, but it ends up being, maybe a little higher than Mark wanted it. Again, that was one of many fouls in transition through the course of the game on guys, whether it was Ricky or others. So they took offense to it, obviously. They felt like it was worthy of something different. So that's when I think that reaction, everything else sort of led to, I guess, some heightened emotions.
Yeah, I thought that kind of kicked off a lot of the things, because I thought it might have deserved a little more than it got as well.
Yeah, I don't know. That's to decide. Again, I don't think it was a little late and it was from behind, but he didn't have a ton of power in the tackle. It wasn't studs up. He kind of hit him across the leg. So I think there's reasons there to think it's yellow. I think there's probably reasons there to maybe consider otherwise, but for me, it wasn't a tackle that's going to hurt somebody. It just wasn't. It didn't have that kind of force, and it wasn't like studs up to the middle of the leg or anything like that. So that's at least what I saw from where I was. I'll tell you what I see when I go back and watch it again.
You had Payne still walked off, went straight to the locker room. What was his situation? Do you have any?
Well, he was. What I saw is after a long sprint, I saw him sit down. I saw him stretching a couple of times before that. I was trying to get Diego a bit ready for him, and then we had a defensive set piece, so I held on to it. Then he went on a big sprint, and the next thing I know, he was down and holding his back of his leg. So hopefully it's not serious. Hopefully it's something that is minor, and we can get through in this break and see where we're at. But it didn't look great because the mechanism was a sprint, so we'll have to see once I communicate with the doctors and see where we're at.
Hey, Greg, one of the goals likely for you guys was to be undefeated at home as it started to build through the season. You guys do that. You also set the record for most wins by the LA Galaxy at home, also most points for the LA Galaxy at home. I think one of the goals at the beginning, you said we want to make this a fortress. It feels like you guys did that.
Yeah, I would agree. I think, in between, again, us, the energy in the stadium, because that's a big part of it, the fans, and you saw, I think, one of the biggest crowds maybe ever in this stadium, and an attendance record for the Galaxy since 1996. So again, that just shows you the amount of support this group had this year, and I think they rode it. And it's a relationship, I think, in the stadium. You know, when the fans bring energy and the players are doing and running and sprinting and competing and creating goal-scoring chances, it feeds back into the energy in the stadium. And I think we got that right this year, and I think it helped us to get results here. And today was a different kind of result. I mean, I think we left some really good chances on the table in the first half that kept that thing a little bit hot, but we did it a little bit different here today in terms of, again, just being a little bit of a gritty, feisty game. Didn't settle down a whole lot because of the way they were pressing, and we weren't able to kill them off, you know, in some of those breaks that we had. So, but it's been a great year. That's something that this place I always remembered, you know, playing with and against the Galaxy, that this was a place that was nearly impossible to get points out of, and tonight or this year we've been able to reestablish that again.
Greg, congratulations on the win. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Josh stole all my thunder. I was going to talk to you about all the records, but what I did want to say is you guys have not been to, or the Galaxy have not been in MLS Cup Finals since 2014.
Yep.
And it's been a tough stretch since then. And maybe people that aren't paying attention don't look at this team, but as Josh said, all the records, and there's other records that you guys have set. Is this team back? Is this as good as your Toronto team in 2017? Is this team a contender?
I think the team is a contender. I think the team certainly looks to be back. I think you gotta keep. We've had a very consistent year. When we've had down moments, we've bounced back with positive moments and wins. I think those are signals of good teams. We've made home field, like you said, a fortress, which is a symbol of a good team. We've been able to grind out and get some good road points, maybe some others along the way that we would like to have gotten. But I think we have all of the signs that the club is back and in a good spot. We've got a young group that is going to continue to grow together, hopefully, and continue to go through some of these moments. Like today has to be a moment that we mature from a little bit, and when we go through this next playoffs, hopefully all the way to the MLS Cup, this group will learn from this experience, and then this group next year will learn from Champions League and all these other things that, you know, what I would say if I'm going to speak briefly about the 2017 Toronto team it was a team that had a couple years to grow together. It went to an MLS Cup in 2016, lost in a shootout to a team that didn't get a shot on goal in 120 minutes. And the bad taste that it left in that group's mouth going into 2017 was a huge motivating factor for where that team was at. But and how they went and did their business on that season. But that was a level of maturity that group had to learn, that this group is certainly taking on as quickly as we possibly can, and the playoffs are going to be another test for us, just to really see, again, how through the course of the season we've been able to mature and handle now the next phase of what's coming. Obviously, we have Houston, and that's going to be an important game too, with where things are at. But the playoffs are going to be a real test for us to be able to manage emotions, still play the kind of football that we want to play, and execute in critical moments.
I guess the record would show this is not like you did it in a week. I mean, this is the whole season long.
Yeah, correct. And I think consistency is always the measure of whether your team is back or not back. You know, you can have a couple good wins and you're not back, but like I said, this team is able to always bounce back from a bad moment. You typically bounce back from a bad half, and show a resiliency, win games in some different ways, but show some real excitement, and that you can see the quality of the players that are out there and how they complement one another. So there's a lot of reasons to be really excited about this team, and now we've got to buckle it down, finish the season, and then go after the playoffs, because that's a big measure for everybody in this league, you know. But we've certainly have done the groundwork to give ourselves the best chance possible.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Greg, congratulations on the win. You know, we hear the players celebrating in the back, and it's very festive and everything like that, but I don't believe that the job is 100% done. I think there's still, you know, the maths need to line up right. Knowing all that, and knowing that the team has had difficulties at Houston on decision day, what's the approach to decision day? I mean, obviously there's celebrations, but job not done. So
we got to go there, and we've got to get you know, at least one, I think. And so our mindset is that we've got to try to keep our rhythm. You know, it's been a really strange, I've said this many times, sort of tail end of the season where we had 2 weeks off because of when we went out in Leagues Cup to restart. Then we had an international break. Then we had a bye weekend this weekend, and now we have another international break. And then things are going to get going again. So managing this international window is going to be really important for us from a training standpoint. And then the Houston game is going to be, again, the kickoff to that final preparation for the playoffs. And the game has plenty of significance and importance, is the way I look at it. It's a critical game, and so we've got to go there prepared, and we've got to be able to handle Houston and being on the road in the right way, and get something out of there.
Hi, Greg. Congrats on the win.
Thank you.
What did you feel like you learned from this game at the end of? What did you feel you learned from this game? Has tonight done anything to change what you feel like your ideal 11 might be?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm not too sort of focused on ideal 11. I think we've got a good sense of where we're at. Obviously, Marco wasn't healthy today and available, and others to consider. I think we have a good team, and it's going to take a good team to get through the playoffs, and figuring out what the right solution is on a given day or against a given opposition. I hold the cards to be able to figure out what that might look like. But what I think we learned today is, when teams have their back against the wall, and teams maybe come press us man on man, or they're willing to take the kind of risk that they were willing to take, and Colorado did a little bit against us in the first half. It's better how to manage those situations a little tighter, take advantage of it when like I said in the first half, Joe had an incredible chance early, plus a couple others where if you have a team that's that committed to the high press and man-on-man pressing, you have to punish them on the other side of that when you get your chances, and that gives them a reason to have to sit back and protect themselves a little bit more. So today we have to take that. I think some of our emotional control, obviously, so that we can keep proper control of the game, I think is going to be important. Some other things there that I just think it was actually probably good for us to have this type of game right now, because the playoffs do have the potential to look like something like that. When a team gets down a goal and they have everything to play for and start throwing numbers high, start pressing super high, lots of things can come out of that. So it's important that we, again, learn from this experience.
Greg, back here.
Oh, yes. How are you?
Pac's really hitting his stride with a goal in 4 straight games. Just his improvement from when he joined the roster and to now.
Yeah, he's obviously was a talented player when we got him, and he's a talented player now. I think the evolution that, and I've talked about this a bit, the evolution that I've seen and that what we've been trying to work with him on, I think, as he came to us from Brazil, who was very much a winger in a 4-3-3, who was heels on the sideline. The team's job was to get him the ball, and he would go one-on-one and try to make things happen. And a lot of times he was in isolated one-on-one situations. He and I talked about that a lot. And here, I wanted him to not just always be heels on the sideline. I want him to sometimes come inside, pick up the ball in the gap, but work in a relationship with 2 and 3 people to create different types of scenarios, not just him one-on-one all the time. And so I think he's really evolved in terms of understanding how to take up different positions in the attack, how to work with other runners and other players and not always be one-on-one, but also when he is one-on-one, he's incredibly dangerous to be able to go inside or push it on the outside. So it's just I think he's added a few more layers to his game that I think in the first part of the season, he was just kind of standing out there saying, hey, I'm open, get me the ball. And it wasn't getting to him as often, and now he's way more involved in getting more touches over the course of the game, therefore having more influence and more impact. The other thing I think that he's continuing to work towards is we've talked to him about finishing actions at speed. There's a lot of times where he'll cut inside and he'll decelerate and try to hit the perfect shot, and then it doesn't have any power on it. And what I think we saw a little bit tonight was he was at speed on his finish, and he took it at speed, and he hit it with power low, and the keeper couldn't get down, and that's something that we want him to continue to take confidence in, that sometimes it doesn't have to be perfect, but if you do it fast, it's going to be, you're going to catch the keeper in a shift, you're going to catch the keeper not ready, the oppositions, things like that. So, but he's evolving, he's having a lot of fun, and when you have a player that talented that's having fun, then they're dangerous for the opposition.
Thanks so much, Greg.
One more, yeah. Yeah, he'll be good. He trained with us for portions of the week, and because we have 2 weeks on the other side, it just was we didn't need to risk tonight, but he'll be ready. He's in training and ready to go when we get back. Good. All right. Thanks.